I stole my dad's live crabs meant for fishing bait, road trip 12 hours to get them home, and built them a tank to live out their lives in peace. Stick around because there's some weird behavior and an unexpected hero. Let's go back to where it all started. Recently I was on a trip near the ocean and my dad decided to go fishing. Now don't get me wrong, I love to fish, but I love saving animals more. So when I saw he was using live fiddler crabs as his choice of bait, I knew I had to try and save them. Unfortunately, some of the crabs were cast into the depths, never to be seen again, because this plan didn't come to me right away. About 8 were left when I decided to sneakily grab the bait and get ready to drive them all the way home to Michigan to set them up with a place to live where they could retire in style. Real quick, if you watched this far, you already know you belong here, so why not subscribe? I packed them up nice and secure so they couldn't escape and dropped in a wet paper towel to keep it humid in their bucket. Then I buckled them in and we got ready to get on the road. I knew I had to drive straight through because 12 hours in a bucket sounds like a pretty rough time. We made some stops along the way and the crabs were doing great and honestly were awesome listeners. Eventually we made it to Michigan and it was time to quickly get a tank set up for them so they could stretch their claws. Thankfully after the long journey they still look super healthy, showing off their bright colors. These crabs are amazing at making tunnel systems, so I'm using a large tank to give them plenty of room to dig around. I threw a light on the tank and then began to pour in tons of sand because that's where they'll spend most of their time. Once the sand was in, I pushed it back to make room for their water dish. They don't need a ton of water because they breathe air, but the catch is their gills have to stay wet in order for them to breathe. I put it in the back corner and filled sand around it so they wouldn't get trapped anywhere. I smoothed all the sand out, sloping it highest in the back and gradually getting lower as it approached the water. This is kind of a rush job because I want to get the crabs out of the bucket as soon as possible. So I grabbed a spray bottle and quickly got the sand wet so when the crabs go to dig tunnels, they'll hold their shape. Now for their water. Fiddler crabs naturally live where rivers meet the ocean, so the water is a mix of fresh and salt water called brackish. I'm recreating that here, so it's not full ocean water, but it's not fresh either. It's kind of somewhere in between. I dropped in a salinity tester, and it looked like the water was just about perfect for our crabs. So I began filling up their swimming area, and then moved on to decorating the tank. For now I'm just adding in 2 small pieces of driftwood, but in the coming days I'll add a couple more decorations. Now it's time for the exciting part, adding the crabs into their new home. When I look closely at one of the crabs, I can see him pushing air through his gills to breathe, which is actually a really good sign that he's doing well. But enough stalling, these crabs are getting antsy, so it's time to dump them into their new tank. The last time I had fiddler crabs I was probably 10 years old, and I'm super excited to have them again after all this time. These things are fascinating little creatures, and I'm hoping that they won't just hide 24/7. Right away I see a little bit of romance going on because this female's holding onto one of the male crab's legs, so even though I didn't sign up for crab babies, I might be getting some soon. Since these guys haven't been fed in a little while, I decide to see if they're hungry and grab a cube of frozen brine shrimp. I toss it in, and within seconds the crabs are going to town on it, stuffing their faces. I figured the crabs would be more shy with me around, but so far they seem to not pay me much mind, so I hope that sticks because these guys are notorious for being shy. This guy here seems super brave, coming right over to the food and using both of his claws to hang on for dear life. I'm assuming these guys weren't being fed very well in the bait shop, but now they don't have to worry about that anymore because I'll make sure that they have plenty of food from here on out. This crab comes over to the glass and gives me a weird eye twitch thing, which maybe means hello in crab, but on that note, I figure it's time to let them settle in. On day 5, the tank was a ghost town. At first I thought all the crabs had escaped because I heard that's a real possibility with these guys. But after further investigating, I noticed holes all throughout the tank, and in these holes, you could just barely see the crabs down in them. Also, I realized I made a huge mistake and didn't add a bowl for fresh water in the tank for them to drink. So I added some in, and then killed the lights in the tank to hopefully convince some of the crabs to come out of hiding. My idea worked because one of the crabs who I decided to name Lefty popped out of a tunnel and went for a late night stroll. There's still 7 nameless crabs in this tank though, so comment some name ideas below to help me out. He made his way to the farthest back corner of the tank, which I think was his way of telling me to get the camera out of his face. I decided to let Lefty enjoy the rest of his night in peace, but we'll check back in on the crabs in a couple of days, and hopefully by then they're more comfortable out of their tunnels. On day 12, the crabs were still pretty shy, mainly hanging out in their tunnels whenever I was around. It seemed like every time I looked at the tank there was more holes being dug, which wasn't the best because owning a pet that you never see is kinda lame. But that's what I signed up for. So I talked to a few friends of mine and they recommended I get some cuttle bone and put it into the tank because the crabs need calcium to molt. I broke it up and stuck it in the sand. I'm gonna be honest, I really don't know what I'm doing here, but I figured me trying my best and learning as I go was better than these crabs being fishing bait. I also decided to put in a small heat lamp in the corner of the tank in case these guys get cold. They're used to 75 to 85 degrees based on my research, so this should be able to help them self-regulate. Okay, now to introduce our side character who tried really hard to be a main character, because as you're about to see, this is probably the toughest worm in existence. I dropped him in and assumed all the crabs were going to rip him to shreds. But he took off full speed, and the first crab didn't want to mess with him. He stumbled across another crab who wanted to take a shot. He started off with the crab sizing him up, and not long after, he went in for the kill. The worm took a pretty hard pinch, but wasn't giving up. He fought hard and somehow wiggled away. The crab quickly pounced on him again, but after a hard fight, he earned the second crab's respect and was left alone. Now here's where the worm goes from hero to legend. He wanders over to one of the crab's tunnels, and then some bone-chilling footage occurs. He's pulled down in, wiggling and fighting as hard as he can. The crab gets scared, not realizing what she signed up for, and leaves the hole. But she's not giving up without a fight, going back in and trying to take the worm down. But something insane happens. The worm pushes her out, and she actually falls over. I think she realizes that she bit off more than she can chew, so she cleans herself up and then retreats, forfeiting her hole to the worm. I don't know about you guys, but after something like that, there's only one thing to do. I grabbed the worm and released him into the wild because he definitely earned his freedom. A couple days later, I stumbled across this while filming. The crab in the water is waving his claw, which is a classic display of dominance. Then he climbs up into the other one's territory. They grapple for a little bit, and eventually he just shoves him into the water. The other one has no choice but to retreat. And just like that, territory changes hands. And the claw he just used to take over the territory, he can't even eat with it. It purely exists for fighting and attracting females. All the actual feeding happens with this small one. Females choose their mate based on claw size, so the bigger, the better. But the bigger it is, the harder it is for him to survive. Evolution basically forced him to choose between eating well and having a good time. They've also been digging tunnels like crazy. Everywhere I look, there's holes in the sand, and I imagine below the surface, there's probably a pretty intricate system. These guys only live about 2 or 3 years, and in that time, they spend most of it doing exactly this, digging. Their burrows can go up to 2 feet deep, and they use them for everything, sleeping, hiding from predators, and impressing females. The whole courtship thing actually happens inside the burrow. The male digs in, waves his claw outside to get her attention, and if she's interested, she goes in. What happens next is none of our business. A few weeks ago, these guys were sitting in a bait shop waiting to become fish food. Now they've got tunnels, territory, and apparently a whole social life. If you want to see what they get up to next, consider subscribing. I'll be checking back in on these guys at some point soon. Also drop a comment of what you'd like me to film next. Okay, I'll shut up now, but here's a crab wrestling match if you want to check it out before you leave. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.